Hi there.
Hi.
We are the Glitch Mob, and we are at the Hellenic Community Center in Vancouver, in the little kids' room.
Yep. There's cubbies and all sorts of...
We've got our own sandbox right in front of us.
Yep.
There we go.
Kind of How would you describe how we sound to your grandmother?
I'd say probably sounds like the battle against the robots at the end of the world, but we win.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
That's nice.
Yeah, you know?
That's very nice.
That's the part when the robots and the humans are fighting, and then you think that the robots are going to win, but they really don't.
Yeah.
That part.
We
Or maybe you
ultimately
just
win.
think the whole world's gonna blow up, but it doesn't, and we survive.
Just us three. All right, so Ed, how do you describe our sound and how it relates to the music that's coming out of the West Coast?
Well, I'd have to say that, our sound it's a combination of a lot of, musical styles that we've all been influenced from in the past. Definitely drawing influences from hip hop, experimental electronic music, the heavy dance floor sensibility of, kind of like drum and bass, breaks, electro, things of that sort, and also to some degree, drawing from the spirit and raw energy of rock and punk and stuff like that. So I guess how that ties into the West Coast is, right now, there's been, I guess, sort of like a great kind of like, I guess you could say it's sort of like a musical, a renaissance to some degree that's been happening with a lot of our peers, especially in Los Angeles. Everything that's happening with Flying Lotus and the whole Brain Feeder thing, and then everything that's come out of kind of the whole Low End Theory scene, which is why we have Daddy Kev on tour with us and stuff. And then even up to San Francisco where, there's a bunch of producers that are kind of more dabbling in the more like experimental side of like dubstep and stuff. So I'd say like we kind of don't necessarily really fit into any one of those like, little puzzle pieces and stuff, but we, to some degree, I guess, like, it's all kind of in the same general family, so to speak, if that makes sense. Like, and because of the fact that we're peers with a lot of these people and stuff, I guess you could say that we're all influencing each other in the music that we create. So I guess that's how we, what we're doing relates to what's happening in the West Coast right now.
So, Justin, what is it about this music style that we do makes people so crazy?
There's something really quite amazing about staying in front of a giant 175 million watt sound system and getting your face ripped off by a lot of bass. I think it's a pretty visceral experience. There's also a lot stemming from rave culture and the leftovers from the Los Angeles rave scene in the 90s, and people still want to relive the giant rave sound system experience, but in a different context, I think that's a big part of it, because when you start talking to people who are involved in this movement right now, most people at some point were part of the whole rave scene, or at least went to some and took too much acid and saw God in the speakers or something like that. So I think think that's a big part of it.
I think when you think of dance music traditionally and rave culture traditionally, I think you think of like BPMs that are a lot more in the range of like, you know, house, trance, techno, breaks, drum and bass and stuff. And I think, you know, what's happening here on the West Coast per se, you know, and kind of like the slower stuff, and that crosses over into the whole dubstep thing as well too. I think it's just something that's just like, you know, like a little, I don't know, maybe newer or fresher, or, you know, just something different than just like the, you know, fast, hard driving stuff that people generally associate with dance music. It's something just kind of like a little more, I don't know, just like grindier about the slow stuff. Just like, you know,
it's very non-traditional
Yeah.
in like dance music, you know.
and kind of primal. You were talking a little bit about, you know, quote unquote, seeing God in the speakers and stuff. Can you elaborate a little bit on, you know, I guess, drug culture and how this relates to, I guess, like, you know, dance music culture in general?
Yeah, I think any music scene has its vices of choice. I mean, you know, you've got the, say, reggae music, you know, people smoke a lot of weed, country music, people drink. And I think that because it's an escape and it can be spiritual for people, there's different ways that people engage culture to escape and enjoy music. And I think that particularly in rave culture on the West Coast, there is definitely you know, overtones of psychedelic use and stuff like that. You know, MDMA and drugs like that have played a big part in everything. This is a musical scene, movement, whatever you want to call it right now, and it doesn't feel like people are coming to these shows just to get fucked up. At the same time, I mean, a lot of people have had experiences connecting with music spiritually through psychedelics, and it, you know, you can, it goes a long way in that sense.
I think it's definitely helped a lot of people just kind of open their minds in different ways towards, you know, or any music in general. I mean, it dates back forever. I mean, you look at the Beatles and like their whole thing was like very drug induced in a very positive way, you know. I mean, they made, you know, records that'll forever be remembered, and you know, so I think in a way, when, you know, psychedelics and drugs or whatever, any kind of substance is used, you know, in a respectful way, it can be a very powerful tool to expand one's mind. You know, I think it's a very useful tool when it's done, you know, like I said, respectfully, and yeah, I think it's a part of it. It's gonna forever be a part of music in general. And yeah, just, I personally think it's a great thing. I've never been one to hate on anything like that. So I mean, I've definitely experienced my, like, you know, mind-opening psychedelic moments. So trip on.
You can use the analogy of television, right? So you can watch TV and you can put it on Animal Planet and learn something about Earth. And you can use television as an educational tool, or you can just watch garbage and flip the channels all day. And so to think of it like a tool, I think is, you know, it's a good way to put yourself in a spot of not abusing substance.